Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk Podcast. My name's Ozzie and I'm your host for today's show. Now, what a win that was for the Red Men. The match was Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0, and I really enjoyed that game. It had a bit of everything. We were defensively sound, some great passing range, especially shown from Trent Alexander-Arnold, Szoboszlai playing with turbo speed, and Nunes causing havoc up top. And the funniest thing about all of this for me is that this is just the beginning. We still have players like Van Dijk, Konate, Thiago, Bajtic, and new signing Gravenberch still to be introduced to the team. So I say, buckle up, Liverpool fans. This is going to be a very exciting season. But today we'll go through the match highlights and then I'll do the player ratings. If you'd like to come on the show and have your say, feel free to jump on. The link is pinned in the chat and also in the description. Even if you're a supporter of another team like Arsenal, who were victorious today against their rivals Manchester United, the floor is yours. So everyone is more than welcome to come on for Talk Podcast. But let's begin with the match highlights of Liverpool versus Aston Villa. So before the game began, I thought it was an interesting lineup. No Endo or Gakpo in the starting 11. Nunes starts, which I think a lot of us fans wanted to see. Jones got his first start of the season. That was probably a surprise inclusion there. But in terms of how he performed, I think he was definitely rewarded for his performance there. The first half, positive start for Liverpool, and it didn't take long for Liverpool to be off the mark. And it was the boss, who I like to call Dominic Szoboszlai, who scores his first goal for Liverpool. And it was a long-distance shot, which is one of his many weapons, as I've mentioned previously in other shows. And what a goal it was. And for me, many, many more to come from Dominic Szoboszlai. That goal was beautifully executed as well, left-footed. But it was just his technique where he pretty much zipped that shot into the bottom corner. Beautiful goal. At first, I thought it was a deflection, but it was sweetly hit. And yes, like I said, many more to come this season. And then 22nd minute, Liverpool get their second. Darwin Núñez goes on a charging run. Hits a great shot, hits the post, and Matty Cash, unfortunately for him, wasn't able to clear the lines and ended up hitting the back of his own net. So Núñez looked really lively during the game, especially in the first half. There was a moment around the 33rd minute, he goes through on goal, and the Villa defense blocked his shot. That was a lovely pass or build-up play from Trent Alexander-Arnold. He looked like his old self today, playing as a playmaker, playing in a double pivot or an inverted role, however you want to rephrase it. But he was very, very good today. Villa go close around the 37th minute. Great cross by Luca Dean towards Watkins. But it was a weird one, as I think it was him and Leon Bailey didn't really know where the ball was. And in the end, Watkins didn't really make much of an effort to shoot towards goal. Moments later, Liverpool on the counter-attack. Salah fed the through ball to Núñez, who dinks it over the keeper, and you're thinking that's going to hit the back of the net. Unfortunately for him, it hits the crossbar, and it was very, very unlucky. And for me, it would have been deserved to have. He was fantastic in the first half, caused all kinds of havoc for the Aston Villa defence. Villa did actually have a chance later on in the game through Diaby, as he tries to curl one around Joe Gomez, but for him it goes wide. Salah has a shot just before halftime, saved by the keeper. So overall, first half, great performance from Liverpool. Villa showed moments towards the latter parts of that first half, I would say, but for me, we was always in control. Second half, Szoboszlai starts off flying down the right channel, twisting and turning. I forgot who the player was, but put him to the ground straight away. He hits the cross into the middle of the box. Fortunately, it didn't really go to anyone. Villa get a header on target, which was saved by Alisson. Salah goes an amazing run on the right-hand side. Right-hand side was definitely our friend today. Most of all, I'll probably say 90% of our attacks was going through that side. He crosses it with the outside of his left boot towards Darwin Núñez. He tries to get connection on the ball through a sort of sliding effort, but his shot goes wide. Unlucky for him. It was a difficult one to capitalize on. But yeah, for me, as long as you're creating chances, it's always a positive look for a striker. And then in the 54th minute, Liverpool got their third goal. Nunes flicks the ball from a corner towards Mo Salah, and he scored it from close range. Egyptian King does it again. You know, a lot of rumors was spreading in terms of his future in the last few days. I didn't think he would leave, to be fair. So I'm just pleased that he's still at the club. So yeah, I know a lot of fans had mixed opinions about that, but for me, one of our best players and one of the best players in world football. So not someone I wanted to see departing the club anytime soon. 68th minute, Trent goes an amazing run in the middle of the park, which we don't see often, but you know, it's nice to see it here and there. Takes a shot, but unfortunately his shot goes over the bar. And moments later, Szoboszlai hits a through ball. I think it was the goalkeeper Martinez gives away the ball from a goal kick. And then Salah tries to make a half yard to hit a shot, but he wasn't able to do so. In that moment, I feel like Salah should have done a bit better. When he got the first touch, he had the goal pretty much where he had that corner, I would say, on the left-hand side opened, but he just did a bit too much, overdid it in terms of his skills, and then by then the chance was gone. Unfortunately, Trent limps off, I'll say a few minutes later. Hopefully it's nothing serious. I haven't read in terms of the impact of that injury. So on comes Kwanzaa, and then Joe Gomez shifts over to right back. Mo Salah has another chance where he hits a right foot volley, goes over the bar again. There were quite a few moments during the game where Salah had chances to probably fed the ball to another player. In that instance, for me, I used to be an attacker myself, so I feel like the chance was there for him to take that volley. But, you know, everyone has their opinion on that. Elliott, who came in as a second half sub, has a shot towards goal, saved by the keeper, goes for a corner, and then literally moments later, Diaby has a moment where he attacks on the left-hand side. Great 1-2 for Villa there. Hits a low cross, across goal, but no one was there to attack the ball there. Endo comes for McAllister later on in the game. Duran and Gomez go toe-to-toe in the last few minutes of the game after that challenge. In my head, I was just thinking, you know, Duran, relax, big fella. You know, Gomez from South London, so just because he's got calm, composed player doesn't mean, you know, if you rattle him, he won't do anything. So just calm down. You're new to the Premier League. You got to get used to these battles here and there. But look, overall, fantastic performance. Really, really happy with the clean sheet. I think that was one thing we really wanted. I predicted a 3-1, thinking maybe with the loss of Van Dijk due to suspension and Konate being sidelined, it might be a difficult game for us to keep compact as a defensive unit. But our boys did fantastic today, and overall, having 11 men on the pitch was a nice thing. You know, we've been used to seeing 10 men in the last few weeks, so that was a nice outcome to the game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in terms of the performance. I'm excited for the season, even more so than I was before, which is probably hard to believe. But, you know, I've been speaking so highly in terms of how we performed in pre-season. But next week I'll be doing a Premier League prediction show. I've deliberately done it, so I wanted to wait for the end of the window. Interesting to see in terms of how I put the team. I won't give any spoilers away. I'm still analyzing every team, every squad. So that will be based on my outcome next week. So make sure to tune in. Maybe I've got Liverpool in the top 4. Maybe I've got them second, or maybe I've got them as champions. Who knows? But yeah, next week will be the time to unveil my predictions there. But what we'll do now, we'll do the player ratings. And if you're watching live, feel free to drop your ratings as well and see if they align with mine. Even if you're watching this on replay, feel free to drop your comments as well in terms of who you think did well, if you agree with my ratings or not, or maybe you just have a different point of view. So I'd love to hear from you guys regardless. So let me just share the graphics with you guys right now. Here we go. So we've got the lineup here already. So let's go 1 for 1. So there we go. So with Alisson, world-class goalkeeper, what can I say? You know, got a fresh haircut, fresh trim in terms of his beard as well. So he was ready for the game, but his performance was so consistent. I think I want to speak as a Liverpool fan. As a football fan, you just have to applaud the quality that this guy has as a all-round complete goalkeeper. Great shot stopper, uh, great with his feet, great at aerial challenges as well when it comes to crossing and influence on the game as well. And it's sweeper keeper, so he's got everything in his locker. And for me, one of the key reasons to why we've been so successful over the years. Yeah, so fantastic performance from him. Didn't have to. He made a lot of saves. He didn't have to make any sort of difficult saves, but nevertheless, he was always present. Kept the calmness around the defensive unit as well, which is always good. You know, that energy does go on to the other players around. If the goalkeeper's having a shaky day, he wasn't having one of those days at all. So with that said, I will give him a ranking of 8 out of 10. So on to Robertson. Much better performance from Robertson today. Looked like his old self, definitely. Defensively, very sound. Feel like he seems a bit more focused than he usually does. Maybe that's something he's just working on to make sure he's covering. Also, having a defensive duo of Gomez and Matip, which is not something he plays alongside with on a weekly basis. Maybe he felt more responsibility to make sure that they work together as a unit. And yeah, he didn't really get exposed. I know Diaby had a couple of moments on the right-hand side, but then even in the second half, he shifted over to the left. So no, for me, Robertson had a great performance, one of the better performances this season. So I'm also going to give him an 8 out of 10. Joe Gomez, for me, fantastic performance. Last week, very impressed in terms of how he came on off the sub bench. I think it was around the 27th, 28th minute in the Newcastle game, and just looked so calm, led by example as well, didn't put a foot wrong. And for me, he's continued that form into this game. Great thing about this display today was that he played on the left side of that defense. I know it was a back three, but when Robertson bombs forward, he was predominantly the left-sided centre-back. So it's good to know he can play that role. I've said it before, so for me, it's no surprise. But for a lot of fans, I've noticed on social media, it's a big surprise in terms of how he performed today. I know what Joe Gomez is capable of. I've seen it over the years. Just because he had a bad season last year doesn't mean he's not capable of showing a new level of form again. You know, everyone can have an off season. He's human at the end of the day. So for me, he was fantastic in this game on that left-hand side. Even if we play a back three, let's say Virgil's back in the squad and you've got Joe Gomez on the left-hand side, I'll be more than happy to have him in that position. There will be some games where I feel like you might need 3 traditional centre-backs in a back three rather than having a Robertson who's a fullback playing that role. So look, for me, Joe Gomez is an important player in this squad. He's not just there for the homegrown quality, as a lot of fans like to say. But yeah, today he was fantastic. Nevertheless, led everything by example. 1 or 2 shaky moments surrounding Diaby, but for me, he handled it very well. And yeah, so with that said, I'm going to give him an 8.5 ranking. Just going to move Trent up so you can see the number there. It's a bit confusing in that regards there. Let's move these guys up as well. So on to Joe Matip. For me, a little surprise in terms of him playing on the right side of that centre-back. That back three. But I feel like he handled it really well. Don't feel like he got exposed by the wingers. I feel like Matip does look deceptively slow just because he's probably tall in frame and he can cover ground. There's been times where he did quite a few marauding runs as well, which was great to see. And if he did go ahead of his sort of position with one of those marauding runs, Trent Alexander-Arnold, with being capable of playing right back, covered them, filled that role very quickly, and then did a decent job at times as well. So now for me, a solid performance from Matip as well. So he gets an 8 out of 10 for me as well. McAllister, for me, fantastic performance from him again. I know fans are quite not confused, but they're not sure in terms of, is this his role within the team? I feel like with a lot of our players, there is no like solid role for each player. Everyone will play in different positions, just because tactically it will be different in every game. For me, I don't mind him playing this number 6 role. I know because he's got number 10 on his shirt, people are expecting him to be a number 10, to be that player going up top. But just to kind of put everyone's mind at ease, or just to give a comparison in terms of what the player would offer, look at Luka Modric. I'm not saying he's that player or anything like that, but stylistically, similar players where they're very good with the ball, short in stature, but never lose the ball, always play the right pass. And for me, he's that sort of player. And I feel like him playing a double pivot, playing alongside a Trent or playing alongside a Gravenberch, he'll do fantastically with either player, in my opinion. So this, for me, could be his long-term position, considering who we have in the squad as well. We've got Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott. Now we've got Gravenberch as well. 4 players that are more than capable of playing that advanced role, 8 role, to a great standard. McAllister playing that double pivot, for me, will still work. And then you've got players like Thiago to come in, Bajtic as well. So we've got great combinations within the squad. Today, in general, for me, very, very good performance from him. Very hardworking. Did some good passing as well. Didn't really get pushed out of the way. I saw a couple of challenges from him, which was impressive. So with that being said, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 as well. Trent, yeah, he was definitely on one today, in a positive way. Very, very good performance from Trent. Showed great passing range, which, you know, as Liverpool fans, we're not just familiar from stuff like that. We know what he's capable of. So really, really good performance from him. Great passing, as I just mentioned. And yeah, defensively was good. I think he just prefers to play his invert as well, because he's more central, and then he hasn't got his back facing to the goal. I feel like that's when he not struggles, but I feel like it kind of puts his game down a little bit, where he has to solely focus on defending now, especially if he's in the traditional back 4, because then he can't really influence the game as much. If he's playing in a more central role, but he has to drop deep to cover positions or to make a tackle, he's perfectly great at that. And, you know, there was a lot of evidence of that today. So one of the star performers today. Close in terms of who I selected for man of the match. You can see Szoboszlai has the star icon there. He was very close in terms of being that man of the match, but today I've gone for Trent. So Szoboszlai. So Trent will get a 8.5 ranking there. Jones, for me, yeah, I'm good to see him play, to be fair. Surprising. To be fair, it wasn't a surprise in terms of him starting the game. It was just a surprise that he was available. I wasn't aware in terms of how lengthy his injury was, but good to see him back on the pitch. And yeah, he just looks like a different player now from the player. I'll probably say this time last year, we had a lot of question marks over Jones in terms of, is he ready to make that push? Is he ready to be that first team player? And there were moments I felt like maybe this is not his level. Maybe he might be better going off alone, try and rediscover himself. Because I know the talent is there. We've seen it in the youth level. We've seen it a number of times in a Liverpool shirt for the first team, but we haven't seen it consistently. And that is also down to injuries that he suffered and not finding that rhythm whenever he's returned from those injuries. So I think since the last part of last season, second half, probably around the last 10 games, really showcased his ability. The most impressive thing about Jones for me is the fact that he can comfortably play as a 6, comfortably play as an 8 or a 10, but his pressing is very impressive. Really works hard for the team. Probably matched that energy with the guy alongside him, Szoboszlai, which is, you know, such a great combination to have 2 hardworking, attacking players. Back in the day, that wasn't really a thing, but we have that in our squad this season. So exciting in terms of what we have going forward. But overall today, played around 65 minutes, which is fine. You know, he's just come back from injury. Very impressive with his performance. So I'm going to give him I'll give him an 8. I think he deserves a good rating today. Szoboszlai. I feel like everything I'm going to say about Szoboszlai will sound like it's on repeat, or I will sound like a cassette player, because it will just be glorious references in terms of what a great player he is. As you all know now, he's one of my favorite players from quite a while now. He's a player I wanted last year in terms of players who should be playing at a club like Liverpool. I feel like he was kind of not the missing link, but I feel like we didn't have a player of his capability. His goals today showed it, because let's be honest, if we had players like Henderson, Fabinho, Milner, Naby Keita, they wouldn't have been able to execute a shot like that. Maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain would have done in one of his heydays, but he didn't really play regular football that much to do that. So we've got a player who can match anyone in the league in terms of his attacking ability going forward as a midfielder, but in terms of what he does defensively as well, what he does for the team, his work ethic, I don't think a lot of people can match that. So for me, very, very pleased with his performances. And I still feel like he's got so much to do in terms of getting used to how we're playing, getting used to the Premier League. And I feel like he's only going to get better. So today, fantastic first goal for Liverpool this season, many more to come. And yeah, overall, fantastic performance from him. So for me, he gets a 9 out of 10 today. And he's, as you can see, star icon there. So he is the man of the match. Now on to the front three. So we've got Diaz, who for me was very lively in the first half. Made some good runs, cut in quite a few times, had a couple of shots. Feel like he could probably do better in terms of his end product. One area, and I feel like I keep saying it in terms of Diaz again and again, I feel like he needs to do more to be more of a team player in terms of tracking back, helping out Robertson. There was times where he was either too close to Robertson or too far away. So that's something they need to work on together. And one thing I've also noticed is that he's a traditional out-and-out winger, which is obvious. But the reason I'm saying that is because we had Sadio Mane over the years, who was pretty much an inside forward, can play as a winger, of course, but made very clever runs in the box to be at the end of goal-scoring opportunities. Diaz, for me, doesn't do that enough, especially when we have Salah touching the byline sometimes, or even Nunes Jr. so far this season has drifted to the right side a lot more. So there's definitely a gap on that left-hand side that can be exploited by Curtis Jones, who played there today, or if it was McAllister or Gravenberch, whoever goes then going forward. And Diaz to be in the near post and then try and just get at the end of things, or try and find yourself in goal scoring opportunities. And I feel like his tally will definitely go high this season. So that's just an area in terms for him to improve on. And I'm sure it will come. I feel like he has the capability to do so. Today, I feel like he showed good glimpses of himself. But I feel like players around him had a better game. So with that being said, I'm going to give him a slightly low ranking of 7.5. Let me know if that's a bit harsh. Maybe I just have huge expectations of Diaz, but I feel like he was good today, but not as good as other players around him, in my opinion. Darwin Núñez. Yeah, he was good today. Just didn't get on the score sheet, unfortunately. But otherwise, for me, was a very, very, very good performance from him. I feel like he caused Villa all kinds of havoc. And then I feel like when he came off as well, you could see that we weren't creating as many chances. He just offers us a different type of option up top, different type of personnel, where he can hold the ball if required, but he's also great on the shoulder as well. Whether that's him bombing down the right-hand side or the left-hand side, he can do that really well. Another thing that I noticed today was his overall play in terms of link-up. Passing was a lot better today, better control of the football as well. He's improving. Last year, he looked raw last year when he came as a new signing. Feel like he's looked a bit more polished now. It just needs game time and rhythm to really cause havoc, and not just for the opposition, but in I would say scoring goals as well. So that's something he needs to capitalize on, taking on his chances. Unlucky not to score that second goal because it hit the post, but then it hit the defender. Also had that dinked effort where it hit the crossbar. So there were plenty of opportunities for him to score. But I feel like it will come. It will come in due time. So today, I'm going to give him a ranking of 8 out of 10 today. And then also got Mo Salah today. So a better performance from Mo Salah in terms of last week, I would say. I think he was in more goal scoring opportunities, which was good to see. He was taking up good positions. I know a lot of fans will probably say he was a bit greedy today, which I think 1 or 2 opportunities, yes, maybe the better option was to pass to another player. But I think when you're an attacking player, and there's always, when it's on his right side as well, that's the kind of areas where he's normally a killer in front of goal. So yeah, that's something he probably needs to work on in terms of working alongside Nunes, Diaz, and other players, where maybe finding the right opportunity is probably what he needs to do as a team. But I feel like when you're an attacking player, it's hard to kind of do that as well. So I'm not going to discredit in terms of his performance or say, oh, he's being greedy Mo Salah today. I still feel like he did well. He got on the score sheet as well. And we look great collectively. So it's just areas that, you know, we can always improve on. And something he can kind of be a bit more alert or assertive to going forward. But in terms of his performance today, really, really good, really hard working from him. Pressing was very good from him. Like there was times where he was the first person to press the goalkeeper, so drifting in centrally. So yeah, he was really on it today. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 as well. So just got a couple of comments here from Double D. You're obsessed with the box mid, LOL. Look, that's the formation we played today. What can I say? I do like that formation today, but you know, if you watch my previous show the other day, 4-2-3-1, that is my formation. If you start playing that, I feel like we'll be cooking. But yeah, the box one, I don't mind. I like the double pivot, to be fair. I feel like it works in terms of our personnel. But yeah, I don't mind it, to be fair. Another comment here from Jack. Our summer business is looking better and better each day. I think Liverpool will do some great stuff this season. I completely agree with you, Jack. Yeah, because the window's closed now, I feel like that sort of like intense rumor mill or just being on your phone to check the latest news is gone, which is great. I feel like once we got that Gravenberch signing, I was like, oh, we've done the right business, in my opinion. And yeah, if you analyze it as well, and to be fair, I'm actually thinking of doing a show possibly tomorrow or Tuesday. So make sure to be on the lookout for that, where I will analyze our summer signings, give them a rating in terms of overall as a profile of players, not in terms of how they've performed so far, because that'll be a bit harsh, especially if Gravenberch hasn't even played yet, and just see where they would fit playing in different formations. So I mentioned that the 4-2-3-1 formation is what I really like, and Double D is giving me a thumbs up on that as well. So yeah, that's the formation I like us to see going forward. I know it's this formation Klopp used to play at Dortmund, so it's not something that wouldn't cross his mind. And I feel like we have such great personnel that players can play in different roles, which is something we haven't seen for a long, long time. So yeah, very, very exciting in terms of what we've done in the summer. I feel like people underplayed how well we've recruited as well. But that's because of the rumor mills and the madness in terms of being linked to this guy, that guy, and so forth. So I think people didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes. But now, because the window's closed, we can now analyze the squad and say, do you know what? We've actually got a good collection of people here. So yeah, really, really happy in terms of what we've done so far. Jack Smith says another comment. We got Maka, Ryan, and Sobo for the same money we would have had to spend on Jude. And that's a great point. For me, I've been one of Jude's biggest fans, especially when he started playing for Dortmund. And for me, he will still be one of the best midfielders in years to come. But if he was the player that we signed and we didn't sign the 3 that you just mentioned, I don't think it would have solved anything. It would have been probably lacking numbers, lacking quality as well, because we needed players to cover different roles, especially when you're playing different systems. So our midfield needed serious surgery, revamp, however you want to phrase it. And yeah, Maka, Ryan, and Szoboszlai, they're the perfect acquisitions to our squad. So yeah, I can't praise in terms of what the club have done in terms of signing these players. Yeah, for me, probably one of the better transfer windows we've had since when we sold Coutinho. I feel like that time we signed good players there, and we could see where everything was fitting in. But these players just feel like, I think they could hit new levels that a lot of fans, especially neutral fans, won't expect. I think people aren't giving Liverpool any respect right now, or they're not expecting us to do damage. I feel like we're going to surprise a lot of people this season. That's just my overview in terms of how I feel about the team right now. And then Jack has said another comment here. Jude is brilliant, generational talent, but Szoboszlai is not far off, and Maka is also great. Ryan could be a very good future proof signing. So, you know what's funny? I would say a couple of years ago, the comparison was between Gravenberch and Bellingham, who would be like the next big thing because they share very similar traits as players. I know Gravenberch, I think, is a couple of years older, but in general, those two were the ones that people thinking, oh, they're going to be the next big midfielders going forward. And I've always been a fan of Gravenberch, so to have him as well, so people are already calling him the Dutch Bellingham, which is quite funny. But I feel like we've got a player who just fits that mold anyway. So, like you said, he's future-proof signing. Yeah, he's all our players. You know, McAllister is 24, so that's not really old. Szoboszlai is 21, 22, and then Ryan is, I think he's 21 as well, isn't he? So, yeah, we've got a very young squad, very talented young squad, but players that aren't just there to be future stars. For me, they're here to be future stars for now. They're stars for now and for the future. I think that's how talented they are. So very, very exciting times ahead, as Liverpool fans, to say the least. But we'll finish off the player ratings. I've done all the first team players, so we'll just briefly talk about the subs. Don't think a lot of them made a huge impact, but it's only right that we mentioned them. So Javier Elliott came off for Jones. So let's just place him here for demonstration purposes. Gakpo came off for Nunes. Came on for Nunes, I should say. Jota came on for Diaz. So you've got Jota there. And then you've got Kwanzaa, who came on for Trent. So obviously Kwanzaa doesn't play there. Well, I'll just shift them here. So then we play there in the back four. Let's play Kwanzaa there. And then we had Endo coming on for McAllister. So yeah, so that's how the team ended up playing in the latter stages. So let's start with Elliott. So Elliott probably had more game time in terms of coming off the bench. I feel like he did quite well. I've always been impressed this season when he's come on as a substitute, makes his presence known, makes an impact, has a great drive when he gets the ball, great energy. And I feel like he's going to have a good season for us. He might not always be the first team on the starting 11, but when you're playing for Liverpool Football Club, you won't always be a player that starts every game. It's a squad game as well. We've got multiple games coming up. You know, we've just been drawn into our group for the Europa League. You know, people disrespect the Europa League, but it's a competition. It's a cup competition. I want to try and win all the cups. So Europa League is no difference for me. So I feel like he'll get a lot of game time as well as the likes of Endo. Kwanzaa is a young player. He'll get opportunities to develop in that competition as well. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Elliot had a shot on goal today as well, so definitely made his presence. I know when he came on, so I'm going to give him a 6.5 rating. And then you've got Gakpo as well. Had decent game. Didn't really have much of an impact when I say it came on. So I can't rank them too highly. So I'm going to give him a 6. Same with Jota as well. Didn't do anything spectacular for me, but yeah, did well when he came on. So I'll give him a 6 as well. And then Kwanzaa looked solid actually when he came on. Made a couple of challenges I remember seeing. It'll be good to see him getting minutes here and there, and hopefully that will grow his confidence whenever he plays. Because right now I feel like he might be feeling a bit, it's a bit of a daunting task to come in and play for the first team. So once he gets accustomed to the players, he'll be able to gel with them as well. And with more game time, develop his game even further. So big season for him ahead. So I'm going to give him a 6 as well. And Endo for me didn't have much. I think he had about 5-10 minutes to have an impact on the game. So unfortunately, I'll just give him a neutral 5. I'm not saying he had a bad performance, but he didn't really have time to make an impact in the team. So that's my overall ratings for the Liverpool team. So let me know what you guys think. Have I been harsh with some of the ratings? Have I been maybe too excited, trigger happy in terms of giving people higher ratings from what they did? Maybe it's because we won 3 now. I don't know, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Drop a comment and let me know. So as I can see, there's no callers today. That concludes our show. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you to Jack and Double D for your comments. Appreciate your contribution as always. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. As I mentioned earlier in the show, it's International Week, so I will be doing some one-off content or episodes this week. I've got a Liverpool transfer window review show coming up, possibly tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll confirm that later on tonight. I'm also doing a Premier League prediction show later on this week, and I'll also do my match week 4 review either today or tomorrow, depending on when I do the Liverpool transfer window review show. So the best thing to do is firstly hit the notification bell, and you will be informed in terms of when I go live, or follow me on social media for all the updates. You can follow me at Ozzie FTP on Twitter or Ozzie.ftp on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. So until next time, guys, take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.